Hey, lady!
Nunna is my dad's mom. She's lived in the same house on Staten Island since the 1960s, and the only thing that seems to have changed is the addition of new pictures.
My name is Carmela Raffel. My children are William, Nicholas Thomas, James George. My grandchildren are Liza, Tori, Billy, Kristen, Courtney, Nicholas, and Cassidy.
She has now housed 3 of those grandchildren in the spare bedroom while we've tried to make it in New York City. I was the first one. This house is one of the most constant places in our lives, and the most constant place in the house for Nunna to be is the kitchen, which is why I'm starting her story there. Today, she's going to bake an apple pie from scratch and finally show us how to do it.
Do whatever you want. Like, this is not Julia Child. This is...
Hold that thought. It's not professional. And that's why if anybody sees it, they're going to say, what is she, crazy? You don't do it that way. My parents were Gaetano Damiano, and my mother, her maiden name, it was Mary Butto. My father came from Sicily, and he settled in Greenwich Village, and he had a candy store for a short while. Through friends, he met my mother, who was from Pennsylvania. Actually, I was born in the village. And when I was 4, we moved to the Bronx, and I got married from the Bronx. When I was pregnant with my 3rd son, James, Bill was transferred to Pittsburgh, and we lived there for about 2 years. My in-laws were already in Staten Island, and Staten Island was really the suburb at that time. So we felt, raise the kids in Staten Island. Preheat the oven to 400 degrees. All right, the apples have been peeled. They just have to be cored now.
And how many apples do you use?
I try to use 3 pounds. It can be a little bit more, but not less. 3 pounds per pie. Now, as far as the type of apples, I really like the Rome, but they're not always in season. In fact, these are the Gala apples.
Okay.
That's my second choice. Now, if somebody really likes a tart pie, of course, the Granny Smith, that's the apples they would use. I did that once, and I just couldn't get it sweet enough. Anyone who is lactose intolerant, this pie is dairy-free. Living with your grandmother isn't exactly all fun and games, but...
Oh, it was. It was all fun and games.
I'm cool with that.
Yeah. To me, it's so nice to bond with you kids.
Who do you like living with the best?
You would.
What would you guys say is the best part of living with Nunna?
Laundry?
Yeah. Laundry, groceries, and no rent. And a bunch of love.
The company. I don't mind doing my own chores. It's something I like doing, but it was just nice having you around.
I would definitely say the food.
These are ready.
All right.
Now,
What's next?
it's time to make the crust.
You buy everything fresh.
Fresh, yes. Especially, even if you make several pies and all, you get a bigger size of the flour and so on. But make sure that you're going to use it all, and then next time you have it nice and fresh. Another thing that's very important is that the water to use with the crust, to make the pie crust, is ice cold. It will make the crust hold together better, and it's very important. If the water is not ice cold, it's not going to work. The person that started with the apple pies was Nanny, and then it went down from her to her daughter, Nana, and then I started to do it. Hopefully, my grandchildren or great-grandchildren will continue this tradition. When I first started making the pies, It was all by hand. And so I really shouldn't complain now. Now comes the Crisco.
And this is instead of butter. This is what makes it
Exactly.
non-dairy.
Of course, what happened at one point, they said this was not as healthy because it's solid, you know. But the only thing I use it for is pie.
I think if you're eating a pie, you're not really planning on being healthy.
Exactly. I graduated high school on a Friday. And on a Monday, that Monday, I started work. I worked for a exporting company. I stayed there until the company went out of business. I was only a week out of work, and I went to work in an advertising company. And that was completely different. I got pregnant. I had my son, Billy. Then I went to work at, it's now called Staten Island Developmental Center. I worked there in the personnel office for almost 17 years. My oldest son, Bill, was working at Goldman Sachs, and he put my resume in, and I was there for 17 years. Every job was really so different from the next, and it was good. But of course, I am a firm believer in a job is what you make it. You have to go in with the idea you're going to love it, and if you don't, you do something that you are going to love it. So I loved every job that I had. Every time that I make these pies, the memories are with me of Nanny and Nana.
They're good memories.
Good
right?
memories.
So did they teach you how to make it?
Yeah, Nana did, really. Because by then, Nanny wasn't making it too often, you know,
Right.
but Nana did. All right. Start with it.
Nunna, you have so many pictures.
Yes.
Are there any pictures that are especially important to you?
Pictures that my mother is in, you know, are important. My pictures are my company. I can look at the pictures and feel like everybody's here, you know, and I everyone that I have out, I love everyone that I have out, and that's why too I don't replace the pictures, I just add. That was 8 tablespoons, but I think I'm going to go to the 10, but no more. My mother didn't want to take pictures. She fought us on taking pictures, and now I don't have enough pictures of her, you know? People should have their pictures taken whether they want to or not. Like Nana used to say, when the dough starts to get into the beater, then you know it's time to stop.
That's good to know.
Yes, that was one of her, that's something you won't find in a cookbook. This is the hardest part of the whole process.
Aunt Lucille brought out all of Nunna's wedding albums, and we had never seen all these pictures that were so cool. She had them hidden from us. And the first thing I thought when I saw this photo, I was like, I would love to restore it. So I told Lucille about it, and she was like, yeah, let's let her go through it and see if she says anything. So she was going through the book, and Lucille was like, if you had to pick one, you know, that you would want to save, she'd be like, oh, for sure, this one. So I spent some time on it, and I restored it for her.
No, I couldn't believe it.
What would you say is the least complicated part of the process?
Mixing the sugar and cinnamon.
Yeah, that's pretty easy.
Yeah.
Tori wanted to
ask you some questions. How did you balance everything? Working, having children, keeping the house going to church, always having meals on the table, and everything else?
What happened in those years, raising kids and working, your social life is not too great. I had good friends at work, so that was good. That helped. I did a lot on a Sunday. At one time, I worked the 2 jobs, so I worked 6 days a week with the 3 boys. Material things that I couldn't do never bothered them. They never complained to me. They never was, why can't we have this, or why can't we go to a certain place if we didn't have the money? I was so grateful that they were that good.
Are you just kind of pinching the crust?
Yes, that's what it's called, pinching or crepping it. Or sometimes, if I was making more than 1 pie, I would use the fork and just pat it down. I'm glad that I devoted most of the time to the kids. I wish I could have devoted more.
Making holes?
Yeah, but turn the fork. It's easier that way.
Like that?
Yeah.
Everywhere?
Yes. Everywhere. A lot.
On the bottom too?
Yes, the bottom, the side. You know what you could do, Nicholas? A cup of sugar, and then you'll mix. And
Okay.
and you'll put it in here, a cup
Okay.
of sugar, do it over. And then put some,
Is that enough?
let's see. Oh, I feel like this is class.
It sort of is.
Yeah, good. Good girl. You get an A.
How much cinnamon do I put in?
Well, that's the tricky part. I keep doing it and mix it, till it's like a light brown.
Okay.
Again, if the pie isn't good, we got 2 people to blame now.
So how old were you, Nunna, when you started making this pie?
The pies? All right. I was married at 19. And anybody listening, don't get married at 19. Be older and wiser. 19. I had my first son just before I was 21. So I guess around 21, I started. 22, I got brave enough. And of course, having Nana, tell me different little things, it helped. A little bit more, but you're mixing it good. I like the way you're mixing it,
Nice.
So now you have 2 sous chefs.
Yeah. How lucky can I get? And then you'll sprinkle the first layer and then the next layer. One time I thought that I had put too much cinnamon, and my firstborn, Bill, said, "Ma, you can never have too much cinnamon." Now sprinkle it, that every apple piece is covered.
Do you have any advice for us as we raise our children?
Love your children. Keep them close to your heart.
Is that good?
A little bit more. All right, now you can go with the next layer.
So Kristen, do you do a lot of baking in your apartment?
I certainly do not. So this will be good. Maybe I'll make something.
Inspiration.
I feel like this is such a big responsibility.
Putting all the pieces together.
Coming down the last stretch. It's a labor of love.
And that's, what makes it taste so good.
Unfortunately, when you're 9 years apart, that's a big gap. The good thing of it is my sister enjoyed my children, and I was able to enjoy hers, because of the age gap. When you're older, you know, then that gap shortens and you have more things in common and so on. For growing up, I would have really liked to have had her as like a companion, you know, really. But it's worked out now, you know. And as I said, she enjoyed my kids and I enjoyed hers.
Do the top. And here we go.
What I would say to give any kind of advice is to talk to your parents and your grandparents and find out the history, because you know, life is very short. I didn't do it with my mother. My father was only 54 when he died. You put things off, well, another time, or we have time. We don't. We don't have that time, really. And a lot of history is lost because you just don't know. And I advise people, talk to your parents, your in-laws, your grandparents, and write it down. And have it to pass on to the children. It's important, it really is. And if that's any lesson I can give anybody, that's what I would do.
Nunna is right. Life is short. I will do my best to talk to everyone in my family and record their stories for the future. I didn't need to know how to bake a pie to tell my Nunna's story, but I got to spend a day with her and my cousins doing something she loves. And that is the foundation of her story. Everything she does with love. That's also why this pie tastes so good.
Today is Elizabeth's baptism.
Okay? And that was
Cutest baby in the
that's all.